Purge the Heretics. In the age of the Dark Imperium, in the grim bleakness of space, and suspended in orbit around the burning and blood-stained surface of Atoma Prime, the morning star lingered over the infested city of Tertium. A dark tide has swept through the capital, and now it lies beset on all sides by the terrifying forces of chaos in its many forms. The underhive of Tertium crawling with heretics, Nurgle cultists, the dregs, bursting from the filth, rising to take the city by storm. The Inquisitor Grendel, in his honor to serve the God Emperor of mankind, has led the fight against the darkness that contaminates the Imperium, and has requisitioned the rogue trader vessel, the Morning Star. On board, instruments of the Inquisition live, train, and breathe in their pursuit to purge the hive, no matter their background, no matter their past sins, for warriors were in desperate need. But not all those who have been blessed with a second chance deserved such a gift. And those select few would be patient, they would wait, bide their time, they would plan, and they would find any way they could to crawl away. It was, of course, a misguided choice born from misplaced faith. Now, in the relative darkness of the ship's interior, and always under watchful eyes, a mismatched pairing currently peruse the corridors. Groon, an average-sized ogren with better-than-average clothing and a rather tidy mohawk, was presently attempting to read the penance book.
No, I don't think I got most of these.
His considerably smaller friend Styx was a particularly odd-looking psyker. Thin in appearance, with an exterior jaw tattooed over his existing physical jaw, glowing blue eyes, and a bald head save for 3 plaits that ran down the center.
Who am I? I am a warrior.
You are?
The Emperor protects, they say.
I don't think I know what you're talking about.
Well, you never do you, Groon? You mindless brute?
Oh, that's not very nice.
Yes, I mean my sweet brute. Anyway, I'm just ranting over this nonsense we hear all the time.
Doesn't sound like nonsense to me.
Well, that's not what my beloved tells me. Although I know he protects me, except, when he doesn't.
Sounds like you're confused. And that's usually what I'm the thing to do, huh? Oh, bugger.
Yes, well, never mind that, you blubbering oaf. Look at this staff,
said Styx, as they approached the armory exchange.
That's the top of the range Purgator's Force staff. Look at it! What a beauty!
Oh, wish I could use those things.
Yes, well, you can't, can you? Yes, I think I will purchase this one.
No, I like me club and shield, I do.
Yes, very good, Groon.
And as the duo continued to peruse the corridors of the Morning Star, Styx lovingly inspected his new Force staff, and Groon lovingly stared at nothing in particular. Suddenly, the Vox announcer filled the air with its shrewd and robotic voice.
Kill target sighting in Hab Zone 1866. Immediate strike team deployment.
Oh, that sounds like fun, doesn't it, Groon? Quick, let's get to the mission terminal.
Right, yeah. I can swing my club at things and make them go splat.
The two operatives moved in their own individual and very different running styles to the luminous green projection of Tertium that served as the mission terminal. And upon selecting and recruiting themselves, they waited patiently at the drop zone loading bay while their strike team partners were assembled.
Well, I don't very much like the look of these two ruffians.
Oh, well, just as long as they can pull on their weights.
You mean pull their weight, you great numpty?
Yeah. Something like that.
2 men, both veterans of medium size and build, approached them. One clearly an experienced warrior, and the other a possible newcomer with a strange and somber look in his eye. Something was missing from this man's life. Something was in need of a change. They walked past Styx and Groon without lifting their heads or engaging in any pleasantries. A cooperative mission was clearly not on their minds. Now the 4-man strike team gathered in the dropship. Styx and Groon on one side, and the other 2 sitting opposite. A large metallic clang rang throughout the craft as its couplers disengaged, and the ship dropped through the atmosphere. The men shuddered and bounced slightly as the ship rumbled and jolted through the turbulence, and it was here, halfway to the surface, that the men spoke.
The Imperium is founded on the blood of martyrs.
said the newcomer with a distant stare in his eyes. The experienced veteran joined him.
Do you believe that, huh? Blood of martyrs? Our blood? We have to die to be friggin' recognised in this shithole. We have to be slaughtered like the thousands before us, and then what? We get offered a slightly better weapon and shut back into hell. Or even better, you get a fucking new insignia to pin to your beaten and bloodied body. Enslavement. That's what it is.
For some reason, the experienced veteran tapped his shoulder, bringing attention to the sergeant rank he held in a previous life. Styx leaned forward.
Are you two a bit annoyed about something then? I hope you're going to snap out of it and, actually help us out down there. We've had a fair few pairings that have been less than useful, haven't we, my brute?
Oh, yeah. We don't need no weights not being pulled and that sort of thing.
Yes, very good, Groon.
Do you two not wish for something better? Do you not have faith in enlightenment through means of your own, not thrust into never-ending battle?
Said the newcomer.
Ha! You amuse me. Are you a newbie by chance? Yes, I think I shall call you Noob from now on.
There is only war.
Yes, I know. But what if there wasn't? What if you could escape this life and live a better one?
A silence filled the hold as the ship continued to rattle, and an awkwardness consumed the void. It was clear what these men were saying without actually saying it. The sergeant leant forward this time.
We ain't coming back from this one, lads. Why don't you come with us? No, I'd rather not annoy my beloved, thank you very much. He doesn't look kindly on these sort of things.
The sergeant offered a knowing look towards his newbie companion, and then sat back in his seat.
Right then. Well, we'll help you out, but after that, we're gone. You say we bit the bullet, yeah? Got taken by the heretics or something.
And with that, the conversation ended, and the four men sat in pensive thought, well apart from Groon, who was currently counting his fingers. The dropship landed, and the four men entered the arena walking side by side in what could only be described as a cool slow-motion Tarantino movie scene, each holding their own weapon of choice. The air was thick and heavy down here, the humidity reaching unbearable levels, and the stench of stagnant water filled their nostrils. The buildings around them offered an intense claustrophobic feel. What little spaces there were to walk across were wet, slippery, and covered with grime. The sound of dripping water filled their ears, relentlessly dripping from somewhere high above. A few guardsmen protected the drop zone area, to which Styx noticed a strange nod, as if communicating with a veteran, but thought nothing of it. They traversed through the metal walkways, into the tunnels, through some old sewage system possibly. It was too dark to tell. But they were faced with no enemy.
Seems a little strange, doesn't it?
Huh? What's that then?
Well, no baddies to squash.
The newcomer was quick to dismiss the conversation.
They're probably hiding, dirty bastard heretics.
Yes, well, it seems unlikely, doesn't it?
Now the sergeant snapped, angered by the noise.
Just follow the route. They'll come eventually, I'm sure of it.
And so they continued, hurrying along amidst the tattered ruins of this overrun district, making their way through rusty corridors, ascending to the King's Court, their stamina depleting fast as they eventually reached a clearing. And it was here that the heretics struck. A growl rumbled in the shadows as evil eyes penetrated the darkness.
Poxand!
Shouted the sergeant, turning to shoot the beast midair. The hound fell to the ground as the haunting cries of a nearby horde filled the air.
Oh, Deirdre, here they come!
Stay close, runts.
And within seconds, they were upon the strike team. The horde approached like lemmings in single file, but quickly dispersed to surround the group. The sergeant fired, reloaded, fired again, each spent magazine falling to the ground in a waft of hot smoke. The noob thrashed his way through the poxwalkers with surprising skill, his chainsword roaring with fury, all the while shouting in the chaos. Groon fought with his usual aptitude.
Beat it, punies!
A brutal ball of destructive chaos that cast its way through the crowd, his club and shield swinging through the air in swift and deadly arcs, heretics flying in every direction away from him, while Styx kept to the outside of the detestable poxes, continuously barraging them with wave after wave of burning blue flame from his forestaff. Heavy footsteps and the sound of an enormous axe scratching against the metal walls preceded the arrival of a mauler.
Oh, let me through!
But Styx was quick to house his staff, fixating his powers on the mauler's brain, and with a clenching of his fists, the mauler dropped dead to his knees, blood spurting from his eyes and ears, his brain burst to a pulp. But it was in that moment of distraction that Styx was captured.
Hello, my pretty.
The unmistakable sound of a trapper firing up his gun, and mere seconds later, the net was released. The impact sent Styx flying as the net closed in and fastened around him.
Oh, another one for the collection.
Oh no! That's my friend!
Cried Groon as he rushed to free Styx, smashing the trapper's head with his club and swiftly breaking its neck. As he did so, the horde followed the loudness of the violence. And it was in this moment, with the horde distracted, and with Styx and Groon caught in the middle of almost certain doom, that the veterans decided to act upon their escape plan. Styx caught sight of the traitors flee.
Don't leave, you bastards! Heretics!
The noob turned, sadness still contorting his features, and as he disappeared from sight, he yelled,
Death is preferable to failure.
Oh, bugger! Yes, well, make my death a worthy one then.
But Groon had paid no attention to the traitors leaving, nor the words shared between them and his friend, for he was now hyperfixated on his task. Tunnel vision had consumed his brain, and Styx was at the very center of it.
Stomp! Stomp! Stomp!
His bull rush was in full effect, pummeling through the remainder of the horde, his club swinging with violent fury, rocks being thrown with increasingly powerful speeds, and soon he was beside Styx. With one strong pull, he ripped the chain net away and freed the frail Psyker, who immediately released his Purgatus Force staff and thrust a torrent of blue flame upon the Heretics. The damage was enough to inflict a soul blaze that steadily finished off the bleeding poxwalkers that somehow remained still standing. And then, once more, there was silence. Styx and Groon stood amidst the burning and bloodied pile of bodies that sprawled across the floor around them.
Blimey, Groon, my beloved says you did very well there, and he thanks you for releasing us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I thinks I did good too. That was fun. Lots of things to bash. Yeah. Hey, where did them other lot go?
Ah, yes, well, I'm afraid they left us, my brute. Escaped, fled, joined the Heretics themselves.
Oh, Mr. Morrow won't be too pleased then.
Oh yes, that's a point. Our friendly Sergeant Major Morrow. He hasn't been talking to us. In fact, no one has. The cheeky devils must have deactivated our comms link.
Oh, right. That is a bit cheeky, isn't it? So what are we going to do then?
You know, I bet it was that guard. I saw him nodding to that traitorous veteran. They must have called in a false mission. Sent us down here so that they can escape. That's why there hasn't been too much resistance. And they jammed the radio frequencies, so that was their plan all along. They played us like fools, Groon. Fools!
Played us like fools, they did.
Yes, Groon.
So what do we do now then?
There's only one thing we can do. We need to reach the silo cluster 18-66. There'll be an extraction zone there. I'm sure someone will be waiting for us. After all, they believe it to be a genuine mission back on the Morning Star.
Well then, let me just fasten up me boot. It's come a bit loose, and it's letting in lots of cold air.
Yes, very good, Groon. And then we'll make our way out of this dirty, infested stench pit.
The self-contained hive city of Tertium awaited. The surface was so close, billions of people living their lives in fear of being overrun by the underworld. But still, they were free to roam, free to live their lives in relative normality compared to the two ex-convicts, who were captured and enslaved to work for the Emperor. Those streets were so close and yet so far, they could almost smell the fresh air, but it was air that these traitors would never breathe. For immediately upon their escape, they had run into a small patrol of scab gunners, forcing them to detour, further away from their planned exit group. Quietly they waited, but the patrol circled round, and so they hid and eventually slipped away, descending to a sub-level in order to reappear further down. But the veterans had been careless. The sergeant had fallen, and ripped his arm on the rusted metal of broken and exposed piping, the shards shredding his skin. A tourniquet was quickly improvised, but the wound needed medical assistance. The newbie had increasing anxiety flowing through his body. This traitorous departure was surely not his path, and yet the sergeant had talked him into it, fed his brain with shared torment and repression. His mind was split in two halves, and the powers that be had driven them away from their only exit. The sergeant snapped his brain back into reality.
Oh, bollocks to this! Come on, let's keep moving.
The noob jumped, startled by the outburst.
Your arm is bad. You're losing blood.
I'll manage.
Do you think... maybe...
Don't you fucking say it. We ain't going back to that shithole. I'm getting out of here once and for all.
The noob lifted an arm. He reached for the sergeant's shoulder and was about to speak when he noticed the silhouettes. Two larger-than-life shadows appeared before them. The Karnak twins had arrived, and behind them, an army followed.
Oh,
Oh no. This is not good. This can only spell doom for us, as well as the city.
Shut your mouth.
There's no hope for us here. No hope for anyone.
The sergeant kept quiet, his mind pondering. His arm was bleeding steadily, and he would need Medicaid before it became badly infected. Their original escape plan had been closed off, and now their secondary route was a no-go. Begrudgingly, he accepted his fate. The veteran was right, but the terms had to be agreed.
Okay, you're right. Listen, there's no way we're getting out of here today. We need to get back to the safety of the Morning Star and regroup, okay? Let's catch up with the others at the extraction point, yeah? Pretend we got separated, alright?
Yeah, agreed.
Right then. Let's do this. Follow me.
And off they went, descending further, back down into the very gloomy depths they had wished to escape from. They were not far from the extraction zone now. They could only hope that the strange Psyker and the moronic Ogren had not taken off already. They could only wish that they encountered nothing further, and they could only pray that their departure was less than suspicious.
There it is, Groon. That stairwell ascends to the landing zone. Not far now, my friend.
Oh, yeah, right then. I'm just gonna be seeing what's in this nice box here,
said Groon, as he bent down over a yellow container box.
Oh, goody. Look what I found. Some more of that plastili stuff for us.
The large stash looked pathetically small in the Ogren's massive hands.
Yes, very good, Groon. Come along then, old chap.
Now Styx and Groon, after quickly checking their perimeter, made the crossing over the open expanse that led to the stairwell, and it was here that they experienced a surprise calling.
There you are,
said the noob, barely managing to hold his wounded companion. The sergeant was weakening, his legs felt like jelly, and he fought hard not to fall down where he stood. In desperation, he shouted at the top of his lungs.
Wait! Wait for us!
Styx turned around to see the veterans coming towards them, but what he heard was even more terrifying. A horde's cry. The veterans' call had been heard, and now they were coming. Now they were all compromised.
You fool! They'll be on us in seconds!
Styx and Groon paid the traitors no mind as they continued to reach the stairwell. The two veterans hurried after them, and behind them all, the poxwalkers began to emerge from every hatch, opening and doorway.
Death! Fire! Renewal!
Flamer! Puny flamer!
Shouted Groon. As the opening behind them was lit with fire, the heat and intense brightness was dazzling.
Come on, you fools!
Cried Styx as they reached the stairwell. Now the four men frantically climbed the stairs, the green emergency exit lighting offering an eerie atmosphere to the tight and condensed stairway. The horde descended upon them with frightening speed. The veterans fired frantically until their weapons were spent, and they both fumbled awkwardly for another magazine, but found none to reload. Instead, their swords taking over, swinging wildly, with raging chainsword attacks. Styx turned and lit the passage with another blue bolt of flame, the heat spreading soul blaze throughout the vicinity, and Groon, in his wisdom, unleashed hell.
Boom!
He said, throwing his one and only frag grenade that essentially acted as a miniature nuke. The explosion seemed to rock the entire planet, and the shockwave that ascended the stairs knocked them all down, aside from Groon himself, of course.
What? For the Emperor's sake, Groon!
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Punies. Bit close, that one, wasn't it?
The stairwell seemed to go on forever, taking one step up and then fighting several walkers back, each member dodging, push-blocking, and firing between melee attacks. The stairs were drenched with spilled blood and lost limbs. The seconds turned to hours, their toughness draining excessively. Finally, they reached the top. Now all that remained was a short walk to the dropship. The blinding green lights around them blurred their vision, the remaining dregs almost depleted. But another cry echoed and reverberated through the corridors. Another horde was coming. The wave upon wave of enemies was relentless. The four men hurried across the landing pad and reached the ship. Styx and Groon stepped onto the ship's lowered ramp, and it was here that they acted upon their revenge. Styx cast his eyes toward Groon.
Forgiveness is a crime punishable by death. The traitors shall burn!
Groon grunted in agreement, and in one foul swoop, as the veterans boarded the ramp, Groon swung his arm across the air and effectively smashed the two traitors back onto the ground.
See ya, Punies,
he said, as the horde emerged once more. And as the ramp began to close and the dropship began to rise, the horde descended and surrounded those that remained.
Purge the heretics!
Yeah. Purge the puny heretics.